It's been a while. I've been to Japan, but I'm back, and we're going to talk today about some anime sequels. So, today we are going to talk about some anime sequels, as I mentioned right before I did the intro section, because, that's how the intro section works. But before we talk about anime sequels, I am going to give a quick update as to what's been going on in my life, because it's been a while. We had the Japan vlogs. There was 6 episodes, which is a month and a half worth of videos. It's a long time. In that, I didn't do all that much. I got a girlfriend, I graduated college, just the normal stuff, but I'm back, and we're here just face-to-face like it's always been before the Japan vlogs. The good old days. We're back to that again. So, if you like the good old days, or if you like the Japan vlogs, if you like any of it at all, there's a way that you can express that, and it's with this little thumbs up button that's below there. You can also click subscribe if you want to continue appreciating me, which we all know that you do. But let's talk about anime sequels for a little bit. And the reason why I bring this up is through all of this college stuff that's been going on, now that I'm graduated, I'm hoping to watch a little bit more anime, but I'm a bit behind right now. I haven't been able to watch as much. And the most recent thing that I was able to put my time towards was Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, Season 2. Now, I'm a fan of some good old, slice of life trash shows that just kind of turn your brain off, you just kind of enjoy them for what they are. Nagatoro Season 1, I actually have a fondness for when it gets to, the later episodes in particular, because you have this, dynamic in the first season of Nagatoro, the first half of the first season of Nagatoro, where it's just kind of it's almost hard to watch in a lot of ways, because you have Nagatoro, who is, over the top, essentially just bullying this guy, right? But it's cute or something, supposedly. It's a lot, and it's really kind of hard to resonate with it, because she's just kind of bullying this innocent guy relentlessly, but it's also portrayed in, this weird romantic subtext way that you're supposed to understand. But then, as the second half of the season goes on, you start to see this kind of fondness grow between Nagatoro and Paizen, as I'll refer to him, just because I can never remember his actual name. It's stated twice in the entirety of the show's run. So, with the two of them, it slowly kind of morphs from this I'm gonna bully him to get his attention in this kind of menacing way, to the point where it's kind of hard to watch, to a romantic relationship where it's kind of cute, and you see them try to play things out and kind of get more of a feel for each other in that way. It's pretty good. I quite enjoyed it, and they decided to make a second season. Now, if I remember correctly, and this should have been my first red flag, it was done by a different animation studio, and it actually, when I saw the trailers for it, I got a little bit excited because it looked pretty similar. It looked like the vibes were going to stay the same. Heck, the OP, before it came out, I listened to it before I watched the show. The OP is really good. It's really still that high energy Nagatoro that you would expect. So I was pretty hyped for Nagatoro Season 2 as it came out, just as a fan of the first one and kind of seeing how things progressed, because there was some depth to it, really. You had this relationship between the two that slowly morphed from one thing into another, and I was curious to see where they would take it from here, what direction it would go, really, right? And the problem is, it just kind of continued what had been established at the end of Season 1. And it's not to say that it was bad, right? But I think that it gets at something that a lot of anime sequels are, which is kind of mid. And the reason why these Season 2s are mid on the surface would seem obvious, right? Because once you have the characters established and the story arc played out, where are they going to take it from there? The problem with that argument, in my mind, though, is the fact that there's already source material. And typically, here's the thing, I'm not a manga reader, and admittedly so. I just don't typically find as much appeal in that as I do watching it visually. I know that there's kind of additional content you can get with the manga, but as an anime-only person, I think what it kind of misses is kind of that source material story arc with second seasons in particular. With the first season, you typically see an arc, right? It goes from one end of something to the other, and if it doesn't, typically those shows are kind of mid at the onset. I could name some shows like that, but for sake of time, I think you get the idea. where it's just a general theme, right? A lot of slice of life, more just like generic ones, kind of go along that same thing where it's kind of a one-trick pony, right? It has that thing about it that it sticks with the entirety of the show's run, and then the show run finishes, and it only usually has one season because it outstayed its welcome already with one season, right? Those are typically forgotten anime. You have the one season where people get to see, oh, that one little entertaining thing, and then it's over. And that's fine. I mean, I think if you have like a concept that's good for those 12 episodes, it's fine to be able to put those 12 episodes out and let us be entertained by them. But there is something to be said for shows when a sequel comes out and it's based upon source material that is existing that doesn't do anything. And this isn't, Nagatoro is not the only case of this happening. I think one that you see a lot of people complain about, and I think with good reason to some extent, is Rent-A-Girlfriend. And I know I talk about Rent-A-Girlfriend in basically every single video that I make. I don't mean to. It's just a show that I think exemplifies a lot of characteristics within anime. I think it's just a good, like, all-encompassing thing that I could use to prove examples in a lot of things. Plus, as somebody who watches a lot of slice of life, it's just a good one, I think. Trash, yes, but good. And so with Rent-A-Girlfriend, though, the second season was markedly worse than the first season. And that's not to say that there was a drop in quality. It's the problem was, I still gave it, like, if we're ranking it on my anime list, I might have given it the same or just 1 point lower score than the first season. The reason I did that is because nothing happened that changes the outcome or the characters in a markable way. Like, I can tell that they're trying to set some things up, and for Rent-A-Girlfriend in particular, we're seeing a season 3. It's not been announced yet that I know of for Nagatoro, which I think kind of stinks if there's something that they're going to really kind of delve into with that. But the problem is when they just take a season 2 to really just continue what we already know, right? They're not adding anything to that. And I get there's kind of a comfort in it, right? Because, yeah, I mean, we're here because we like that thing, but there's no development within that, right? We need there to be some kind of development for it to grow. And playing it safe, the reason why it would be considered playing it safe is because if you do something different, if you make a markable change in character development that people don't like, it can cause controversy. So, with a second season, we might as well just play it safe. And playing it safe doesn't always work. Now, there are cases, don't get me wrong, where there are better sequels or that things are expanded upon. And I think probably the best example of like seasons changing and getting different vibes and some cool new ideas is something like JoJo's, where each part is just markedly different, but they're thinly kind of pieced together with the whole family line dynamic that's within all of that, right? So it can be done. Like, good sequels aren't a rare thing. I'm not trying to say that they are, but it's disappointing to me when I see slice of life shows that have a lot of potential not taking risks within anime, I guess is my overall point here. And I want to say that because there's also cases of the flip side of what I'm talking about happening, and I want to talk about it as well because it didn't get a lot of attention when it came out, and I think the reason why it didn't get attention is because it did it the opposite, which is also kind of a bummer because I would have liked to have seen more from this show, and that is Seven Seeds. Seven Seeds came out on Netflix, and I think only Netflix, as like, I can't remember if it's considered, I think it's an ONA is what it's considered rather than like a typical series. But it was released on Netflix, and it got 2 seasons. And the first season, I'm just gonna say it, was not very good. The setup, it was too much. It's not that it was like horrible and I wasn't entertained at all while watching it, but there was a lot of characters being introduced. It was confusing to follow, and you'd have them in these like perilous situations with a bunch of people who I didn't really know about, right? And different things like that. It was all like kind of setting up, right? 12 episodes worth of them talking about these characters who I don't know yet. And there were a lot of characters introduced. They needed the time to set it up, right? But it would have been better probably if it had the time to develop as like a 24 episode first season, where they could really like start to delve into the characters more and more and more. And the reason I say that is because the second season was really good in comparison. I won't say it was excellent. It's not a 10 out of 10. You're not going to need to go out of your way to see 7 Seeds right now. But if you stick through the first season, the good stuff starts in the second season, because now you have the establishment of the characters. It took all 12 of those episodes for me to feel connected with those characters. However, because by the time I got around to the second season's content, the episodes, the way that it was executed felt so much more fluid than that first season. But because that first season's not all that great, the likelihood of people watching a second season isn't all that high in comparison. And it's probably not going to get a third season. There's been no plans to my knowledge. I've not heard anything about it. If there is going to be a third season, I'd love that, because I really think that they're trying to build upon something good. But I think because they went in the reverse order of the shows that go mid to sequel, and instead going from good to mid sequel, it goes from mid to good sequel. And I think that ended up hurting it more. So it's kind of a weird ground to be in the middle of, right? Because either you're going to have a boring first season where it gets really good and set up, but it's kind of confusing at the onset, and then the second season or the remaining episodes can like execute the plan, so to speak. Or if you're going to go vice versa, where you like have really kind of simple characters and a good execution for a good arc for the first season, and then a mid second season, I think I would rather choose the simple first season with the simple arc and then a mid second season over something that doesn't get me hyped for the first season and doesn't make me want to watch a second season. That's a lot to say. It's really confusing, I guess, but I guess I would rather have something like Nagatoro that I talked about earlier than I would 7 Seeds, just because I want to be invested from the get-go. I think would be the best way to kind of sum up the overall point that I'm trying to make. And I know that is like just a lot of talking about seasons and sequels and all these different things, but in general, I like talking about these things because I like to see anime get better, and I like to see creators, especially of manga, have their visions carried out in a way that's entertaining when it comes to the screen as well. But who knows, maybe you really liked Nagatoro Season 2, or maybe you really liked the first season of 7 Seeds. Maybe you're completely unlike me, or maybe you even hate JoJo's, I don't know. Are there people out there who hate JoJo's? If you are, leave a comment down below. I hope that you have enjoyed this little look back in the basement now that we are finally here, and we'll be here for many weeks to come. That's all from me, and I will see you guys next time.